Hello techies, I'm Divya here. On behalf of CyberBrainer, don't you think the world of tech is evolving faster than ever? Now is the perfect time to dive in and build the skills that will take you places. With CyberBrainer, we are putting you in the driver's seat of your own future. We at CyberBrainer don't just teach your interest. We believe that knowledge is power, but it's applied knowledge that truly sets you apart. Whether you're diving into data science, mastering artificial intelligence, or exploring the world of cybersecurity, our courses are designed to give you the skills that matter. So let's jump into the session and make the future yours today. Thank you.
We'll continue with the organization topic that we started with. Again, today will be a little light session, but today we're going to focus on the very 4 core concepts that we have for supervisory organizations. We'll talk about that in detail on what those are. To understand supervisory organizations, you first have to understand what organizations are. All organizations are nothing, but they organize workers into groups. That's our common purpose. Now, when that grouping of workers for employees, it becomes a supervisory organization. When it's organizing different locations in a group, it becomes location hierarchy. When it's organizing different call centers into group, it becomes call center hierarchy. All these are nothing but different types of organizations. These types are Workday delivered. Though you can create your custom organization types as well, but I have not seen any organization using any custom types. We'll use the one that I want to deliver. Typically represent how work is done and how the workforce is structured, can serve many other purposes and are used across the entire platform. All the worker data, all the employee data is organized through supervisory organization, which is the foundation, which is the most important type of organization. Because without that you won't have any workers. You need the supervisory organizations to create positions. Once you create a position, then only you can hire workers into it. You can create a location hierarchy, you can create a call center hierarchy, you can create a company hierarchy, but until and unless you won't have workers, these things will not matter at all. Workers are tied to multiple independent organization types, each with a different purpose. A very good example is, for example, in the visual that is on the hand side, if you pick up the employee on the top left. Now this employee is part of supervisory organization Z and is linked. Looking at the third point, workers are tied to multiple independent organizations. This worker is tied to region. At some place or other, there would be a call center also attached or linked to this employee. And that suffices the explanation to this third point that these are tied to region call center are independent organization types. Region can be understood as location or location hierarchy. Call centers are nothing but the financial buckets. It's a financial term, but very commonly used in the HCM ecosystem as well. These are nothing but buckets of money which are assigned to leaders, which are used for company expenses and all the hiring promotions. Any tool buying all these expenses. Every employee will be linked to a location and a call center at a minimum. Supervisory organization has workers. Other types of organizations has like location or call centers, which are then linked to workers at the time of hire process or at the time of creating the position. Because when you create position, you have to define which location you're hiring, for what job profile you're hiring for, which manager you are hiring for. The manager question gives you the supervisory organization. The location answers the region area which call center is based on the different organization assignments. Please make a note of this keyword. This term organization assignments somewhere in bold. and we'll talk about that a little later. And what are organizations used for? Without organization, you won't need security reporting or business processes. Because if you don't have employees, what would you do with security reporting or business processes? Once you have different organizations, what an employee can see and do comes from security assignments. What information that is loaded in the system or created in the system, or transactions that happen on a day-to-day basis. You can look at those transactions at a holistic view in a report format through Workday report. And the ability to initiate or execute transactions on workers or locations or different types of organizations are allowed for business processes. Though all these three are entirely independent topic and dependent on organizations because we have dedicated sessions. Dedicated, what I mean by independent was we have dedicated sessions for all these topics which we'll be discussing in detail. But you need to understand once we reach these topics, we need to be very clear on what organizations are, how they are used or to create them, how to use them. Demonstration 1: Organization charts and reports. For that, we'll jump into the tenant that we have now a standard org structure that can be used. For example, I was just testing something. I have this organization and basically I have this company, which is all as Solink. I created this and you can see that this is of type company. It does not have any members as of now. I did not do any hiring. If I open up a new tab, it's not the option. If you see, here I created an organization, another organization which is of type supervisory. All these are the subordinates. The subordinates are also of type supervisory. Their superior is level C. Now looking at the org chart, you can just go to the related actions. You will see the option org chart or navigate hierarchy. Either of those will give you a structured view. If you see, here I am looking at an org chart where I have SOL level 0, then SOL level 1.1, 1.2. Based on how your business is, the naming convention needs to be followed. Like you cannot be creating SOL level 1 here and then SOL level 0 there. That will create a lot of confusion and your reports, they'll be picked up. This is just one of the type of, I would say, organization which is of type supervisory, which in the upcoming sessions we create each of you. There will be assignments. Each of you will have to create these organizations, give them a unique name, and we'll start from there. Another example, if I show you, I created this type now. Not this one. This is another type of organization location hierarchy. All it has is subordinate SOL in New York. If I open this up, all types are 2. Manish, I'll get back to you in a minute. We have another structure which is a type location hierarchy for SOL in QSA, which has these locations Boston and California, which also has another location hierarchy for New York. Under New York, there might be different province in New York, Queensland. I'm literally forgetting the different areas of New York, but you can add those as different locations. Coming back to the visual that we have here are different types of organizations, but linked together. Now the linking is not like. The linking is not visible, excuse me, because we did not hire anyone yet, which we will obviously do in the upcoming sessions. Just a visual of different org charts and how do they look through it. Some of the key behaviors of organization types. Workers are assigned to organizations during staffing events or on an ad hoc basis. Staffing events are nothing but all the transaction related to your employees when it comes to staff hiring, terminations, transfers, promotions, anything related to worker which make a change on their worker profile or the position or the organization as a whole. Everything those are staffing events. But the primary ones are termination, hire, change job which covers your transfer, promotion, manager changes, etc., etc. Organizations can be combined into hierarchies to represent how organizations roll up to one another. The hierarchy. The charts that we looked at is nothing but a rolled up view of how small elements rolled up into bigger hierarchies. Like the USA hierarchy had Boston and, I think, California. If you are looking from bottom to top, it's nothing but a roll up of different organizations into regions. Maybe a grouping of all regions is clubbed into a much higher region as well. Workers are assigned to organization roles which are tied to security access. Now, this is a very important point. I would like each one of you to please make a note of this complete statement. I'll give you guys like 20 seconds to do that. Please make a note of this third point. All, make sure that you make a note of this statement. Workers are assigned to organization roles which are tied to security access. Highlight this, put it in a box or a circle or anything. We'll come back to this point once. We'll start with security. A very important point which we'll discuss in a lot in detail about this. And also let me touch upon this point once. We'll do hands on creating positions and working with staffing models. That is when this point will also be reiterated. On the last point, organization assignments are defaulted on transactions and used for reporting purposes. This statement could have been written in a much simpler way, that organization assignments are inherited from the superior organizations. What that means is, if I go here, if I navigate to, I'm at SOL level 0 and every organization, every supervisor organization has these different tabs. And one of the tab is organization assignments, which has this is my company, this is my call center. All of my subordinates, which are nothing but one level below organizations, will be inheriting these organizations. If I go to, let's say 1.2, go to organization assignments, you will see the same things. I did not assign them here. I just assigned all of these at level 0. Once I created level 0, I assigned these organization assignments at level 0, and then I created these subordinates, and in turn, all of them got these. I'll show you another example. Let's say from level 1.2, I'll create another level. I'll just create that real quick. Let's have the naming convention SOL level 1.1, 1.2. I'll give it the name SOL level 2.1. Now I did not do anything else. I already created level 1.2. Let's go back to again SOL level 0. From SOL level 0, I created at 2.1 from here if you see here. This is my subordinate. If I open this up, if I go to the organization assignments, you would see the same things. That is what this point is saying, that organization assignments are defaulted on transactions and used for reporting purposes. In a simpler term, they are inherited. They inherit everything from the superior organization. Not only organization assignments or security groups, your roles. Now, another perspective or another viewpoint to look at the statement is, let's say if I hire someone in this particular organization, so level 1.2. Which is somewhere in the middle of 2.1 and level 0. If I navigate here, this is our top node, which has 1.2 and 1.1. Now 1.2 has another organization of itself. Now let's say if I'm hiring for this organization automatically, I won't say automatically, I'll use the statement that is given in the presentation. The transaction that will happen, the hire event, the hire transaction that will happen will by default pick up the company and the call center, which are the organization assignments here of the one that are assigned at this level or inherited at this level. Anytime you do a hiring for this one, it will take all the attributes, basically the organization assignments that we're talking about in that transactions. Obviously, there's a lot of hands on that we will be going through, and each of these points will be the iterated once we go through those hands on. Because once we do that, you will be much more confident in doing the hands on yourself, and the assignments that will be given are broken down into smaller chunks, which in turn will create your complete hierarchy of these structures. But those are assignments broken down into chunks, which we'll start sharing starting next week. Until then, I think everyone should also have access to the tenant and will be in completely hands-on. These are some of the key characteristics or behaviors of the organizations. And you don't need to worry about if you'll remember this. You don't need to recall or cram these behaviors. These are something that you will realize yourself once you will be doing your assignments. And once you do it yourself, you won't even be worrying about what are staffing assignments, what are organization assignments. Those will already be making sense and you will just remember them forever. But as long as you complete those assignments, that is the key to learning all these behaviors. Reorganization task. We can skip this for now. We'll talk about that in upcoming sessions. Supervisory organization, the most important part. Supervisory organizations are required and critically important to HCM and why? Because all workers are hired into a supervisory organization. Group supervisory organizations group workers into a management hierarchy to specify who reports to whom. Who reports to whom? Basically, in the visual that is on you can see three boxes. Visualize them as three different employees who are reporting to the bigger box with the manager. This, in turn, is nothing but a smaller visual of what a management hierarchy looks like. Nothing but an off track, basically. Supervisory organizations report to one another to form supervisory organizations. You create more organization, they will report to the manager, and that continues to grow. Now, in real world, you might not be doing these or creating these on a day-to-day basis. Only in the case when there's a lot of hiring that is happening, you're hiring a lot of managers, you're hiring a lot of employees, or there's a lot of reorganization that is happening. For example, if someone in the senior leadership has decided to move on to a different organization and the senior leadership has decided to restructure how their management looks like. In that case, you will be deactivating any empty organizations, basically cleaning up anything and everything related to supervisory organizations. And you'll be moving around a lot of supervisory organizations from here and there. Which brings us to the second last point. Each supervisory organization has one and only one superior. That is true. No supervisory organization can be reporting to two supervisory organizations. Basically, if I go back here, SOL level 2.1 can only have one superior. It cannot be reporting to another SOL organization. That will not happen. Workday does not allow that. In fact, there's no option to even do that. It provides the context for staffing actions. Basically, every transaction that happens on Worker is because you have supervisory organizations. Because supervisory organization holds worker records, basically hold workers in a short sense, and transactions happen on worker files in most cases. Only one question. In certain organizations, we see a dotted line kind of reporting. In Workday, it's not possible at all. Dotted line reporting. It's similar to an alternate manager. The person is going on leave and on behalf of him, for that specific period, the alternate manager assigned will be managing the reportees of the subordinates. That can happen, but that is specific to employees, not supervisory organizations. It can happen that, for example, in this case, let's say the visual that we have here on the bigger box, which is a manager, is on leave all. Someone else can basically be an acting manager until this person comes back. But that does not mean that this organization, which the manager is responsible for, is reporting to some other one. No, that will not happen. The second last point means that the organization, like in this case, let's say someone at the SOL level 1.2 is on leave of absence. Another manager can be placed here temporarily, but SOL level 2.1 will still continue to report to 1.2. It will not report to the organization for that manager. Does that make sense? Because now we are at the organization level. We have not reached to worker level as of now. We're only talking about organizations. These are the backbone of your Workday system. We're only talking about organizations. Once we'll start hiring people into these organizations, then it will be a different case. Then absolutely, and this happens. This is a pretty common case. Employees go on leave of absence and someone they basically do delegation. We don't have like a dotted line reporting structure, but what happens is the tasks are delegated. There's a concept called as delegation within voting. Any action that a manager needs to take that will be delegated to someone else. That is how that works. Thank you. The parent, the supervisory organizations are basically the sub-level of the organizations. And the parent is. Could you please explain me that relationship in your example? Sol level 1.2. Sure, in this case, Sol level 2.1 is the child, or we call it a subordinate in technical terms. And Sol level 1.2 is the parent or the supervisory organization. The parent is the supervisory organization, is it? No, all of these are supervisory organizations. Now in this example, Sol level 1.2 becomes subordinate and Sol level 0 becomes the parent. All these are type supervisory. Got it. But now this one is a parent because it has a child node, which is a subordinate. If I go up, Sol level 1.2 becomes a subordinate to Sol level 0. There's nothing like supervisory is like the parent, no. All these are of type supervisory. Got it? What if there is no subordinate? For example, in hierarchy pattern, there is a manager and the manager doesn't have any subordinate, but he still has a title as a manager. Would that come under as a supervisory? As per the Workday concept, a manager is not someone who holds the title of manager. A manager is someone who has some of the other organization or employee reporting to that person. You need to have at a minimum one person reporting to that person. Then only Workday understand that person to be a manager. And it asks you to create a supervisory organization for them. Now we have created Sol level 0, Sol level 1.211. You see these parentheses. Start hiring people. You will see these parentheses will be populated by the name of the managers. Just by giving someone a title of manager does not make them a manager as per the Workday concept. You need to have some people reporting to that person then and also have a supervisory organization. Then only that person is considered as a manager by the Workday. Does that make sense? I'm trying to put in a few examples in my mind to understand this. Like for example, now we have many VPs and not necessary that all the VPs have team members to lead. But again, the designation still remains VP. Designation does not define whether they are managers or not, but yes, this is pretty common. And I think every other organization that, because if VP says I want my title to be this, you have to change it because he or she is a VP. You cannot deny that. But that does not mean that, as for they will have a supervisory organization of their self. As per Workday concepts, a supervisory organization means that someone is there that is reporting to you. That's why you have a dedicated organization for yourself, which we call a supervisory organization. Then only we assign a manager to that organization, because then only we can say that this manager is managing this organization. In the case that you said that you have VPs who does not have any reportings, that person is literally not managing any employees. That VP is only in the company for decision making. Got it. That is what that means. Thank you. Any other questions? Let me see what do we have next. We create our own. We'll not go about this one. Yes, that is this. We will create locations as well. We will create locations as everything we will do. We will create part centers as well, companies as well. Yes. Not this one. This is out of scope. This too. This will be all of this. Whatever that is left in this presentation is mostly hands-on, and we will do the hands-on first and then we'll come to the presentations. And again I'm repeating, we are going slow. We'll continue with this pace, but this will change once we finish this topic. It's gonna take a couple more sessions to complete the organization concepts, organization topic, including the hands-on. Might take 3 sessions based on how Q&A happens, but anytime you have a question, just raise your hand and we'll take up that question. For today's session, this is where we'll stop and we'll start with the next hands-on, basically complete hands-on mode starting next week. I'll wait for another couple of minutes if you have any questions, else we'll conclude the session. If you don't have any questions, you can please feel free to drop off. I was just trying to navigate through that. I got my 10th SS. I was trying to navigate through the whole day. I was trying to add some in the profile. There was favorites or something. I was just trying to add some favorite icons to that, but I could not see that. There were only 2 icons available on favorites and I was trying to add some favorites and add one more to that, but I could not see that means because I don't have access to that or something else. Can you help me with the stuff that you started with? Can you help me with the steps that you started with? Like what were you trying to do? If you can guide me. I went to the profile and it's the profile icon on the not there, on the yes there. And it was sitemap. After that, there is a favorites there. Manage, yes, there was some 3 lines. I was trying to add some favorites, yes. Here I got. I was trying to add something like compensation, something I got in the 3 buttons on the top. I got yes, compensation and benefits. Yes, I'm getting it here. I did not get it here. It comes to the favorite reports. It depends on what you're adding, like what we just added as a report. It's not a report. This is a little confusing. It says favorite reports and then it says task. Just navigate to one of these tabs and see which category it fell into. Now it's compensation and benefits. I thought that it is going to come in, that means favorites. It's going to come in that first icon itself. I was wondering where it went. If you want to do that, then add the shortcuts. And the shortcut here. I don't know if the same thing would be a shortcut as well. Let's see if compensation is something that just compensation and benefits here. Bring it sometimes. It's already added now. Go back, go to your shortcuts. If you click this, it will bring you to the same page. I was going through the videos. It was written that the Workday icon can be changed. Yes, this is a Workday given tenant. That's why it's the Workday icon. Usually this will be a company logo. Means the person means the company is using Workday. Does not mean that it will be having that Workday icon. The organization. It depends on the organization. Yes, whatever that company logo is, they will use that here. They are not using this logo, what we see here. Correct. Thank you. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.